Hello and welcome. We're back, Monday Club, and today we've called in someone who's an expert in the field to talk about the energy crisis and what to recommend your customers should you get embroiled in solar panels. And Jamie's also going to teach us some lessons on why the energy companies are doing us all a favour.
I didn't go that far, but it's a dangerous ground I'm on.
It is, mate. It is. Right, so Stuart, you haven't been on since very, very early episodes back in the day with me, Neil, and Rick. And
Yeah.
So yeah, you're welcome back. Update the viewers on who you are, what you do.
Okay, so we're Cato Electrical Services. We're electricians, but we dabble a bit in solar, and obviously last year solar has gone absolutely mental. We've already completed 5 times our yearly average as installs, with probably the same again on the cards. Batteries have taken off. It's absolutely mental at the moment, mate.
Do you do like charging points as well, or not really?
We jumped on EV when it first went off with the OLEV grants, but then we had our fingers burnt a little bit waiting for our money, and I thought, you know what, it's not worth it. You know, at one stage we owed about 4 or 5 grand, and I think it took us about 120 days to get paid from the government.
Are you one of them sparkers that likes to get paid, are you?
Yes, yeah,
Fair one.
yeah.
Quick one, so I know people will be thinking it. Is it worth having solar without batteries?
Depending on the size of the system.
There you go. That's the answer I wanted.
Yeah, it really depends. You know, if you're going to generate, if it's only a small system, then you're going to use all of it, and you've got nothing to store. And that's one of the big things we have with our customers is we always have a conversation with them that if we're close to that limit, we won't fit a battery to start off with. We'll monitor it for 6 months.
Yeah.
Because if you're never going to use the battery, then you're paying a ridiculous amount of money for something that's never going to be used properly.
And what you've just said there is the grid's problem, isn't it? The grid can't store it. That's that problem scales up to the whole country.
Yeah, but see, I've got a problem with that.
Go on then.
I'm not putting it into the grid. I'd rather waste it than give it to them.
And you're right. If you when you create solar energy, you should whatever you've got left, you want to put into batteries. Then if you've got some left after that you want to put in your car, then after that you want to heat water. Whatever you give to the grid, you are pissing up the wall. In my opinion, I'm sure.
No, you are. You are.
No. Do you know what? I 100% agree with that. You know, with energy prices doing what they're doing at the moment, you know what? We're paying 30 odd p a unit. Soon to go up to 50 odd p a unit. They will pay you 7p a unit to buy it off you. It's absolutely scandalous.
It's a take,
and that's the most.
Yeah,
that's the most they'll pay. Average is about 4p.
So
I'd rather electrocute myself with what's left over than feed it back into the energy companies. They don't need it.
What's the average in layman's terms, Stu? You know, if I've got a normal semi-detached, something like that, average house, and I've got some solar on the roof, what am I making on a decent day? Is it because what I don't get is you're saying you don't have batteries, but what's my house using, and what am I making? You just said I'm running my fridge for free and all that, and all my little base load, or what?
Well, no. So if you put a decent sized system on, you're going to cover the majority of your usage in the daytime, depending on what your usage is like. You know, if you've got we've got an air source heat pump, so we use a lot for heating the hot water and bits and pieces like that. But yeah, an average size system, you're looking at generating 20 units a day.
But for me, it's a normal. I'm out of work all day, so it can run my fridge while I'm out. It can run my chargers. It can run my shit that's around my house and all that. But most of my end use is when I get in at night. But then might not be sunny. So I'm saving. It's covering my base load of my day. Is it without batteries mostly?
It would cover your base load in the day. If we would probably advise that if you could afford it, go for the larger system with a battery, because then you can store it, use it in the evenings and overnight. If you can't, then go for a slightly smaller system that will just cover your base load and you're not exporting it, because otherwise you're paying a lot of money for stuff that you're not actually using.
Yeah, that's always the problem. So I don't get it. But obviously, you can heat water, can't you? You can have a mega flow or an immersion heater and heat that up for yourself.
Yes, yeah. So any form of immersion controller like the MyEnergy Eddy or the Solar Edge immersion heater that measures what you're exporting and turns it on to that level.
See, that's really good.
Mm.
So you can heat. So from the solar panels, you can heat your water as well.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
such a solar dummy. I am a
See
solar
it as energy,
dummy.
Sam. Don't see it as electric solar panel. See it as you are grabbing energy, and you can do that and do what you want.
Listen,
Yeah.
I'm not dumb. I understand what energy is.
You're saying I couldn't eat water. It's the same thing. You got to put energy in to get out water.
It's quite because I've been thinking about it for my house and stuff. Now my dad wants it, and because I'm an electrician, everyone thinks, "Oh, you can do it." Well, no, I don't think it's just as easy as turning your hand to it, is it?
Not really. No, you need to know. There's a lot to know around just the wiring side of life, but then also come on the roof installation and stuff. You know, we've been doing it for 13 years. We've picked up lots of tricks. We've developed lots of techniques. You know, we had Mark Allison down with us a couple of weeks ago, learning a bit of roof work. And yeah, so it's you couldn't just turn your hand straight to it. You'd need to know what you're doing.
What about getting in bed with the roofer? Is that an option?
That is an option, but it's probably worth sending your roofers onto a product course. So they got an idea of the bits and pieces. You know, it's great having their knowledge about how to flash some bits and pieces in and the structure of the roof, but they still don't know the products.
For me, as a sparker, and I don't know what if you have it still, I'd just be scared of cracking a tile, because like you crack a tile, that's it. Someone's roof could be leaking. You've got to go and mess around doing that. That just puts me off.
Yeah, I see that, and do you know what? There's certain ways of walking on a roof so you don't crack the tiles, but the likelihood is you're going to break tiles.
It's got spare tiles somewhere as well, haven't
they? Yeah. Customers normally got spare tiles, but we
nick them off next door.
yeah. But no, we normally keep a stock of tiles of a few of each different type. Chuck those on the roof to fix it. But yeah, it's
just as starting out though, you're not going to have all that, are you? You've got 13 years behind, haven't you? But starting out, if you crack a tile, you're down the wholesale trying to find one. That's half your day gone.
Yes, yeah, but do you know what? A lot of roofing wholesalers do keep the majority of stocks. The other one's reclamation yards, mate. We get a lot of stuff from. We're lucky actually. We got a really good one just around the corner, and if they haven't got it, then it's not worth having. You know, sometimes you'll pay £1 a tile or something like that. Sometimes it'll be £5 a tile, but it is what it is.
It's definitely one of them trades, I think, where it's not. Don't take this offensively. It's not crazy difficult once you've done an installs course on the rails and the solar and that. But it's the roof. It's the roof bit in it. That's not the easiest thing to do. People are going to worry about moving between trades and getting onto that.
Yeah. The roof work is probably the hardest in the technical side, but also the physical side. You know, if you're putting 12 panels up on the roof, each of them are 20 kilos a piece. You know, you're moving something that's 1 meter by 2 meters. All it takes is a little bit of wind behind that, mate. Yeah.
So you're either sweating your nuts off, getting piss wet through, or getting blown off a roof.
Pretty much, yeah.
There's no in between in the UK, is there?
It's better than being in a loft, though.
True.
Yeah.
Unless you fall into a loft, then you've got both of us, haven't you?
Yeah.
So, Jamie, what is this nonsense you're talking about energy companies?
Well, you know, the other week there was telling us the Prime Minister. The other week the press were telling us the Prime Minister's an idiot and all that, and everyone got rid of him. And now they're telling us the energy. All right, and a lot of people will. And now they tell us the energy companies are robbing us. I agree that prices have gone up, but I mean, do you not think electricity has been too cheap for too long and everyone just takes it for granted?
No.
No.
It can't be too cheap, can it? I'll tell you why it can't be too cheap. Because they're making £20 million a day. So it's not too cheap, is it?
Yeah, but have you seen the infrastructure that's outside for moving electricity around?
Yeah, so it's been there for 100 years.
Billions and billions of pounds get spent on that. That's what it does. It's who's this week's bad guy with the press. I know it's gone up. Gas has gone up is the main problem. That's not our fault. That's not the energy company's fault. And then when they say the energy companies, you've got the generators, the distributors, and the people that sell it to you. They're all different people, but we call them the energy companies because that's what the media tells us to do. But I would argue that It's been too cheap for too long. That's the problem
Why
with
is it too
electricity.
cheap if they're making £20 million a day?
Everyone's gone green out there, and that's going to cost money.
The thing is, well, Jamie, I'm sort of on your side here, because one thing that really bugged me is that obviously they went, oh yeah, Centrica's made £11 billion in profit. You're like, okay, but Centrica own a lot of stuff other than energy companies.
They don't narrow it down enough.
Yeah, they you know, if they turned around and said, well, actually, Centrica made £8 billion from their energy companies, you'd go, okay, that's bad. But they've just said this is how much Centrica have made.
I would argue, has anyone took anything for scrap lately, just out of interest? Anyone took any scrapping whatsoever?
Not for a while. Not for at least 3 months.
Anyone listening? I'm sure some people listening would have took some in. What do you get for an old car? 100 quid? Something like that? 100 quid in steel. Or steel's not a lot, is it? You need a lot of steel to make some money. But how much steel's in a single pylon that has to be maintained, inspected, and looked after? And you think how many of them are up and down the country that company's got to look after? So I make profit as a business, but the percentages for them is probably less.
Oh, see that? World's smallest violin. Don't care.
But you've got to, haven't you? The problem is we're in a market. The thing is, at the end of the day, water, gas, electricity are sold to you as a product. They're not a right.
You know what? You're like, you've got Stockholm syndrome. You've got them punching you in the face and going, well, it's our fault for not letting them punch us in the face before. It's stupid. It's the dumbest way of looking at things. Here's why.
Right, got it.
Why. They are making money hand over fist.
Yep.
And now they're putting it up again because they want to make more money.
They're not putting it up. The gas price has gone up because there's a war on. That's why it's gone up.
Yeah, but not really.
I think it's been too cheap too long, and people just think that it's a right to have it, and it's not a right to have energy. It's a commodity to be traded.
Yeah, but
I know people are struggling. I don't want to be able to people are struggling, but we've had it too good for too long.
Dumb. That's the stupidest thing you've ever said, bar none.
Remember, you know what? There's a lot of people as well who are moaning about obviously energy prices, and energy prices are bad, but then in the same respect, they leave all their lights on. You know, they've got their Xbox on. Leave their TV on, leave the radio on all day. They're just wasting electricity because they don't see the value of it.
It's like water, innit? We'll see the value of water soon with it on.
Yeah.
Why would there be no water?
Because there's droughts, isn't there? My local, it's really bad around here. There's reservoirs are drying up, but people will still leave the tap on while they're brushing the teeth and go, it's not my problem. But that's the thing. If 1,000 people do that, you must waste tons and tons of water every week.
I've got a bad attitude about all that because
I have as well. I don't know what you're going to say.
Because where I live, they do not stop dumping raw sewage into the sea. And they get fined, but it's actually more cost effective for them to dump the raw sewage and get fined.
So where I live in Nottingham, just down from me is the sewage works. It's down a racecourse road, an old railway line. And they dump sewage in there all the time. It pisses me off. You can't use the Trent near us. So when my bill came this time around, I says, how much is my water, my fresh water? Because I get provided with fresh drinking water I can drink, yeah? And they told me how much that was. I said, how much is my sewage? And I ain't paid my sewage. I says, until you stop dumping it in the rivers, I'm not paying it. Because, you know, if I had a load of shit from renovating my kitchen, I put it outside my house, or paid some guy to get rid of it, and he threw it in the river, I'd get fucking fined.
Yeah, you would,
but what's the difference between that and my shit? You know what I mean? That's my policies. If we get a lot of it around here, because I'm near Newark, if I get an unscrupulous person unofficially take my waste away and dump it, they'll hunt through it, find my name in it, and find me. What is the difference between that and my turd and the water company's doing it? So I haven't paid my waste bill. They've gone about taking me to court soon, which I'm quite happy to do. Because I pay them to take it away.
I feel like you're going to lose that.
Yeah, but I don't know. You get on Twitter, don't you? Big gobshite. If everyone took to say, you are.
What is that? Is that some sort of tonic?
Ginger beer. I can afford it because I'm not paying my waste bill.
So, right, Stuart, I'm in a bit of a situation, right? My friend has had a solar panel installation done without a battery, and he wants me to go and connect up a battery. It's not just as simple as connecting up a battery. It's a bit more involved in it. What's that about?
So the the trickiest bit is actually the paperwork side of life, I'd say, because you need because a battery's classed as a generator, because you've got a generator over a certain size, you need permission from the DNO to be able to connect it, so they know what could go back to their network.
What happens if you just connect it?
Nothing.
You kill a linesman.
There's until they know, that they won't really know. But the thing is that if that caused damage, so if you put, you're looking at the same, you could put a 20 kilowatt system on your house without that permission. If you end up blowing up the pole mounted transformer just down the road,
You've got to pay for it.
You'll pay for that.
Yeah, I bet that's not cheap either.
They're not cheap.
Oh, the cost of steel, Jamie.
Yeah. So it's a bit like saying, if you do some electrical work, what do you have to do notification? What are they going to do if you don't notify it?
So it's all right till it goes wrong, basically, is the rule, isn't it? Everything's okay till it goes tits up.
Yeah. But the thing is, it'll always come back to you. And at the end of the day, it's a filling in a form. You fill in a form, you send the form off, they get the form, they come back, say, yeah, that's fine.
Is that the stuff that I would have called back in the day G59 that's now G99, isn't it? Is it all that
yes,
stuff?
Yeah. So you had G59 and G83. You've now got G98, G99, and G100.
Which is basically, for anyone who's not aware, is basically that's just any generation has the ability to backfeed the grid, doesn't it? And backfeed equipment or kit or the lecky board, for example, might isolate your street to do some work. The linesman might, the majority guy might get in the old cut for a cable, it's still live because you're backfeeding it. It's effectively just telling them that, isn't it, I think?
No, not to that respect, because if they turn the power off, your system will shut down.
If it's compliant, basically.
If the equipment is compliant, if it's been set up right, then as soon as the power goes off, your system will shut down. To exactly prevent that, someone working on the lines and getting a belt from your solar. It's certainly more with the G99. It's more about knowing how much is going back into the grid and whether the transformers can take it, whether the lines can take it, and they've got to look at worst case.
So it's to mostly protect their gear.
Yes. Yeah. So they know what. Yeah.
If your system decides to dump all its energy onto the grid.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. So they could turn around and say, no, you can't have it. Our lines are rubbish. They
can, but with progressive technology, a lot of equipment now has got what we call export limitation. And that's the G100. And what that does is basically that monitors what you're exporting. And if for example you were going for an 8 kilowatt system and they said no, you can only have export limitation of 5, your system, once it gets to exporting 5 kilowatts, will actually stop producing anything over that size.
Right, in a nutshell, should I get involved with my mate's battery?
Depends how good a mate he is.
He's my best mate. But I don't want the brief. Because when it goes wrong, and it will, it'll be me getting a phone call.
Yes, but the thing is as well that the likelihood, if it's going wrong, it's a fault with the system. Because at the end of the day, the wiring of it is very simple. As long as you've got a simple battery system, the likelihood is it's going to be a fault with the unit, and actually that's down to the manufacturer.
Batteries scare the shit out of me as a spark.
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people agree with that. I remember once as a 22-year-old was doing a battery system. You get in theatres, you get central batteries for all the emergency lights, and the emergency lights are just lights. And the guy was cranking up he had like a ratchet spanner, the Melfors ones, when they were like super cool. And he's like, ratcheting it backwards and forwards. I'm making a motion in case anyone's listening. And he caught the other terminal, and it instantly spot welded together. Yeah. And I was like, sparks coming out. And then I thought it was hilarious that sparks come out of it and he was a dickhead. Then the spanner just quickly got bright red and melted through.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck was that? And until that point, I've been like, batteries can't kill me. Batteries are safe. And then it literally melted through a spanner. And a few years ago, I did it again.
I used to do that all the time. My dad used to run the dump in Croydon. So I'd go down and see him and I'd just always throwing a spanner between the terminals on a battery. Why not? It's a very
And it
cool
literally
thing.
melts through
Yeah.
half-inch thick spanners, doesn't it? No problem.
Quick as well. Surprisingly quick.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Most batteries now are idiot-proof. You can get the systems where you basically have 20 car batteries all linked together, but those are very rare now. It's more pre-made systems that have pre-made leads.
Are they what batteries? Are they lipos or
It's lithium ion, aren't they?
Yeah, most of them are lithium.
So the terminals you'll get what you buy as a battery nowadays, those terminals have got protection within that battery there.
Most of them
internally.
Yeah, they're either covered terminals or the ones we have, they've got isolators on them as well. So it's not like an old car battery. It is a pre-made thing. You can plug your leads onto it, and it's got a built-in isolator that you can shut the battery off before you do any work.
Where do you connect it into?
That's the other thing. It depends on the make of the battery. So when it comes to batteries, you've got two different types. You've got AC coupled and DC coupled. A DC coupled will connect directly into your solar system, and an AC coupled is effectively a standalone unit. So it either has a separate inverter or an inverter built into the unit.
Can you charge a battery off the grid? Not that you would, but can you?
Yes.
That's my plan at my house at the minute, actually, to do that. Because I've just gone to Octopus smart meter, so I can buy it at night for 5p, charge batteries, and use it every day when it's 60p without any panels. Apparently that makes me a saving on it, or will make me a saving.
Yeah. Exactly. You're going to make what? Well, you're going to save 55p for everything you use. And there's a lot of batteries out there that will do that. And
see, this is why the energy prices are going up, isn't it? This is why.
You know what? I think you're right, Sam.
Everyone's working it now, solar panels, and they know the arse is going to drop out of it.
That's why petrol's gone up, I think. That's why Russia have gone to war, because it's the last time they'll be able to afford to do that, because the oil and the gas that they sell to make all their money, in 10 years, we'll not be using loads of it. Hardly any of it will be being used. I think you're right. Now batteries are coming along, electric cars coming along. The big car companies and the big energy producers are scared of where their money's going to go.
I'm going to make a prediction.
Oh.
At some point in the future, there's going to be a solar panel tax.
Of course there is.
See how smart I am. I just know it's going to happen. Yeah, and it started out like a congestion charge. Do you remember when the congestion charge started in London? It's only £5 a day. Don't know why everyone's complaining. Now it's like 15 quid or something.
What?
Mate, it's
15 quid.
£22 to drive into London now. Because you've got the congestion charge zone, and then you've got the ULEZ zone.
I'll tell you what it'll be like, and it ain't happened yet, but what you're saying is it'll be like vaping, won't it? If everyone started vaping, they'd tax that. You can't have anything, can you? No one could have anything that's like, it'll have to be taxed. It'll be like, was it the window tax they used to have?
Yeah.
And people used to brick the windows up. There'll be a panel tax, won't there? Per square feet meter, you pay so much.
Yeah. 100% it's coming.
Like you pay
they've got to make money somehow.
Well, yeah, because if they're not making it on fossil fuels,
I'm dying here.
Hey, tell you what, Sam is dying in his shed for your audio viewers. He's literally hanging out. So I will keep it going.
I'm dying.
I'm terrified about these batteries being in my house and that I will die. How safe are they?
Really safe. Really safe. So they obviously there is a very stringent set of safety regulations they have to meet. Most of the batteries we install, we actually stick them outside. Purely
Whereabouts? What in sheds?
No. So they're IP rated.
Oh right.
Yeah. So I've got one of mine, and it's just down my side alley. And
I'll come round and rob it.
That's what I was just about to say.
That's going to be a new thing, isn't it?
They're a bit heavy.
Yeah. Good luck with that, mate. They're 120 kilos each.
Yeah.
Hell.
To be honest, mate, if you're having that away, you're welcome to it. That's a lot of effort.
How many kilowatts is that?
So that will save me. That's 10 kilowatts. That saves me about £3 a day.
What?
Which doesn't sound a lot, but or at least £3 a day. That's 21 quid a week.
Oh yeah, that's
almost 100 quid a month.
I'll tell you what, to be fair, I've just had a smart meter fitted, and on my little screen downstairs when I come upstairs, it said I'd use £3.23 today. So that means I'd use 23 pence, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Or I'd have charged it for a tenth of the price.
Yeah, and that's it. In the weather we've been having lately, my standing charge has been more than the electricity I bought in.
Standing charge, the bastards.
Yeah.
The thieving bastards.
Yeah.
Oh, oh, you've got a meter? Are you fucking paying rent on that?
Yeah. It's standing charge as well.
That is
what I mean.
You know, the geezer who invent the standing charge, he'll invent the solar panel tax, won't he, the bastard?
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's the same bloke.
Some toffee-nosed prick.
You want them cables, do you? Well, they're rented, they are.
and see, here you are sticking up for them.
Why
shouldn't they? Because they built the infrastructure. Shut up.
I'm not sticking up for them. I'm sticking up for this. I don't like it. They call it the energy firm when in fact it's loads of different people. But they do have a lot of stuff to look after. But the thing is with this stuff, so if you have a solar panel on your own roof, we get it back to cottage industries, aren't we? We get it back to the guys on a farm who kills his own meat and eats it on the farm. It's a little tiny circle in it. It's not going big. Getting it back local.
I would like to do. How many solar panels would I need on my house? 3-bedroom house. No, well, it's 4-bedroom, but it's only 3-bedroom at the moment.
Well, depends how much you use, mate. Depends how you heat your water. Depends.
I'm a tramp. Do you know why I'm a tramp?
You don't bath.
When we moved into this house, we was renting it, and it come with a key. So you have to pay. You have to go to the shop, give them a key, put a turner on or whatever.
3 electricities, please.
Yeah, can I have some electricities, please? And then you stick it in and press a button. So I've still got one of them trampy meters at the moment. I was going to change it out.
Wow.
Huh?
Mate, you need to get rid of that shit. They are expensive.
No. See, this is how you lot are dumb.
Ah.
Only gone up £5. It's only gone up a £5. We only spend £30 a week on electricity. That's not a lot.
£30 a week. Quick maths. I'm doing some quick maths. £30 a week. Yeah. I'm on a fixed. I fixed a year ago. And my missus was like, "What have you done that for?" It's it's like 5p more expensive, but it's still fixed till August 2023. So nice. I'm doing it nice at the minute, and obviously when I'm getting all this free money that Richie Sunak's going to give me, I'm just going to keep it. Cheers, mate. But obviously when it gets next, they're on about giving it out. I don't know what the scam is, but next August I'm going to get slapped round the face with a wet fish. It's going to hit me hard.
Yeah.
Because my little meter says £3.50 last night when I went to bed about 11:30. That means next year, this time next year, that's going to say £9. And that is worrying.
That's why you need to have solar panels now, isn't it? You do need to have them.
Problem is, I'm sure Stuart could tell us, everyone's saying that, aren't they? Anyone with a bit of cash is doing it, aren't they? So what's happened to the price of your gear?
Do you know what? The gear hasn't gone up. Gear is roughly the same sort of price that we've been paying for the last couple of years. The only issue we've got is stock levels and availability.
Is that why the price is up? Because the stock levels are gash, aren't they? Apparently, I've seen people. Was it you begging for rail the other week on LinkedIn?
Yes. Yeah. So and it's a lot of it's to do with silicon chips. You know, getting hold of it for the inverters, and
I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this silicon chip nonsense.
It's shocking.
I don't understand how it can go on for so long.
Mate, have you seen? I've did a chip fab, and they are bonkers things. You've never been in anywhere like it. They're not clean rooms; they're super duper clean rooms. It's just a bonkers process.
Years ago,
unfortunately,
I watched a program on how they invented the semiconductor, and like the geezer who took it, like started up the semiconductor company and all that, and he went right through the history. It's about 3 hours long. It's a documentary, and it is absolutely fascinating. But what I didn't get is because at the beginning they were just like these little valves and stuff that would turn on and off, and then all of a sudden it made this quantum leap to silicon, and it's like they didn't really explain that bit properly. And my thing is alien
technology. It's got to be in it.
Yeah,
aliens. It's got to be. There's no other explanation.
No, let's just stand up and sit down bits of silicon. Oh, okay, because you're going to think of that, ain't you?
It's got to be alien technology. Maybe that's why they're struggling at the minute, because the aliens won't let them know they're doing it now.
But I want to know, like, why has China stopped this production of chips?
Because we're all in lockdown.
Yeah, the ports are all shut down still, as I'm led to believe. The
Chinese at the minute, I know someone who's based in China or was based in China. So you know, like when we was in lockdown hardcore, they're like that all the time. As soon as they get one out, as soon as they get one case, they'll lock down again. So a chip fab can't just start and stop overnight. It takes weeks to get it going, and then if it crash stops, it takes weeks to clean the mess up to get it going again. So they've got no consistency on their factories and stuff at the minute, apparently.
You know what? This is all a bit dumb. I'm really like, we can't get into it.
No,
I'll have to cut out a whole nother section.
But that's what's happening. There's no. It's like anything. If you make, I know plasterboard factory, for example, that plasterboard comes on that factory. It's one long sheet. The plasterboard you're getting down south is what I'm getting in the B&Q up here. It's come off the same sheet, just chopped up, because it goes on and on and on forever. Same with glass. You think how long it takes to get that machine running to produce that, because it's a constant process. And if you stop and the machine all crashes, and that's why production from certain parts of the world is
love it, didn't you? You love this geeky shit, didn't you?
Oh yeah,
machine. Oh, I love this engineering.
I love infrastructure. It's all. This is what it all boils down to: the energy prices. All this is down to infrastructure and the fact that in the UK we are getting shit at it. Water's falling apart, gas has fallen apart, electric's falling apart because we're ran by the greedy bastards.
Yeah, but but you can't moan about capitalism. You can't, because that's why you bought your house. Stuart's sitting there with a £60,000 painting behind him, and
what's the frame?
Yeah, from 1902. Listen, that's the society. You can't moan at people for making more money. But
hang on, you just slagging off the energy companies when they was making money a minute ago.
Can I finish my sentence? It's like talking to my wife here. Listen, but when they're taking the piss, they are taking the piss with these energy prices. Why is electricity going up? There's no need for electricity to go up. That can stay the same.
Because it's all made from gas. Because if we still use coal, I know it's dirty and all that. I don't want to get into the environment stuff, but it's all made with gas. They shut loads of coal power stations and said, look how clean we are. It's because we burn loads of gas, which is just as dirty as coal, to be honest, by the time you're done.
Wait, there's nuclear power stations. What are you talking about?
Nuclear power stations are the future. Nuclear power is the future, but what's the problem with all the infrastructure in the UK? Every bit of infrastructure in the UK, and the reason we fail as a country is because of one type of person. What are they called? Nimbys. No one wants in their backyard, do they? You can't do a thing. So I want to build a reservoir so I've got water. Oh, I don't want it flooding my area. They're trying to build a battery storage near me. Some woman's going out and make loads of noise. No, it won't. It's a battery. Literally on one of the Facebook groups banging on about it. It'll be dead noise. It's like, I've got a 20 megawatt battery store down south to look after. It's silent. Oh, what would you know? Well, I look after one. But she doesn't want it facing her ass, despite the fact that Staythorpe Power Station, which is where it's going to be built, is a massive, huge grid thing. There's like a massive substation, a massive power station. She's like, it's going to ruin the view. The view's been fucked for 70 years, Doc. There's been a power station there since the 1920s, but she's moaning because she wants to moan about it, and that's the problem with stuff in this country, I think.
Mm.
See, where I live, you can look out I can look out my window, and there's about 4 million turbines out at sea, because they've got like them turbine farms, and then if I drive around the corner, there's just fields and fields and fields of solar panels,
which is great, isn't it?
It's good. I love it because but I'm not reaping any benefits from it.
You've got to have a bit of nuclear, and I'm sure there's someone. Don't quote me on this. Do your own research, but you know, like this talk about tons of CO2, like a coal-fired power station makes like 500 tons of CO2 a day. Apparently, someone told me, and this needs verifying, that a coal-fired power station makes more tons of CO2 in a day than a nuclear power station makes tons of waste in its lifetime. But people will have a bag on about it because.
Well, do you know what killed the nuclear thing is Fukushima. The problem with Fukushima was it was terribly designed.
Yeah, yeah, and I think.
But no one cares about that. No one cares about that. They're just like, I don't want that near me.
I tell you who cares more about it, the Germans, because they shut all their nukes down, didn't they, and went and bought loads of gas off the Russians, which hasn't gone particularly well for them. Ruthlessly efficient iron ass snits, eh?
Listen, the thing with that is, that's being smug, isn't it? Oh, look, we've shut down all our nuclear plants. Everyone should follow us. That's it's country. It's national virtue signalling.
You've got to have a mix, haven't you? Which is why I love wind farms and solar farms. I think it's great stuff. Batteries, everyone having solar on the arse and all that. But just going, we're shutting all our nuclear plants down because we're going to be super cool because it's cool this week, and then that's really landed them in the shit, innit?
So, how much could you potentially run your house off of just solar? No,
to an extent, mate. Yeah.
Good.
So
super efficient.
If you've got enough batteries and enough solar, then you could do that. One of the sort of the weak points about the system, though, is that in the winter, when you're using the most energy, is also when solar generates the least energy.
Which is why I need the grid in it. You've got to have that little bit of grid.
You've got to have that grid backup, and it's great, but it's about finding the right balance. You know, I've got a couple of customers at the moment who are trying to go through this design process, and they want to cover 100% of their usage, and we're ended up they're saying, oh, can we put them on this north facing roof, and can we put them here, can we put them there, because they just need to get so many panels on there. And you think,
so it works in winter basically.
It will work in winter, but it's a massively reduced generation.
See, this what they need is Tesla solar panels, solar tiled roof. Apparently they don't work. Apparently that was all a big scam.
That Tesla thing, it's just false bits of it.
They pulled them off the market overnight.
Yeah, they're not very good. Then
do you know what though? The thing is though, there is a company in the UK who make it, GB Sol, and they are good. They are good, but the problem with them is that they're a lot smaller than obviously in a regular panel, which means for one panel you've got 20 tiles.
Oh, 20 connections.
Yeah, you've got 20 connections. You know, you've got 20 times the amount of points of failure. And with those systems, if say for example you've got 10 rows of tiles and the bottom right hand tile goes, you've got to strip the whole lot off the roof just to fix that one tile.
What will damage
quite robust though?
Yeah, they're quite robust, but like anything, if the connections are made poorly or not collect together right, you get arcing, they burn out. You know, we've seen quite a few burnt out connectors in our time, and that's using standard systems. You know, you times that by 20, the likelihood is you're going to get
you need a bit like probably some sort of track system.
What else is going to knacker them? Like, because when we record this podcast, I can always see the seagulls at Sam's house. Are they going to start crashing into it, or is there hope that can damage them, or we just wear out of there?
No, the silicon degrades over time, which is standard across the whole board. But yeah, I've touched wood. I've never seen a smashed panel actually on the roof. It's mainly just from either things getting underneath them or burnt out connectors.
Do you know what's the most robust solar panel in the world? The ones you get in the little calculators.
They're
undefeated. They're undefeated.
Go on, buy 5,000
from 1982 and it still work. 100% as well.
Yeah.
What they should do is just make solar panels out of a load of them.
Or make everything as low powered as a Casio calculator and you're laughing.
Yeah.
What's the
instruments? Come on, bro. What's
the lifetime then? You just said then they degrade. So what out of interest then, what's the lifetime? And are we going to have this big thing where we have like recycling, they can't do it or something? Or are they that green? Are they as green as they make out?
Yeah, they are. So most panels now will come with an output guarantee. And their output guarantee is it's normally at least 80% after 20 years.
Oh right, so it's not 10 years of daft like that. There's a fair a lifetime basically.
Yeah, and do you know what? We pull systems out or we test systems that have been up there for 10 years, and you probably got about less than a 5% failure rate. Everything else is still within in the tolerances. So they are
panel? Half sensible solar panel each.
130, 150 quid.
Is that all?
What's that? Yeah. What? How big is the standard solar panel? It's like a rectangle, isn't it? Is it a meter and a half, something?
Something like that, yeah. Yeah.
That's an average size.
That's the average size, yeah.
And what wattage is that?
That's probably something around 300 watts, 350 watts.
I'm going to be boring now. I've got a Caravan. I've got a 150 watt panel on it, and we can do it all weekend if it's reasonably sunny. I was quite impressed at how efficient it was, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I like lever lights on. I charge the 4p. I use the pump and all that, and it keeps it ticking over. So I can imagine if I had 20 of them on the roof, I'd be well away.
Yeah, they are a good. They produce a lot for what they are.
But if for my house, I've got to go in deep, and I can't just mess around having one or two. I've got to do the roof. Make it cost effective. Try and put the scaffolding that up.
Exactly. If you were redoing the roof and stuff and you had the bits there, then that'd be perfect. Just chucking a couple on. But yeah, if you're going to do it, go big. If you can afford to, there's no point stretching it.
How many solar panels do you need on a house of like 3-bedroom, roughly? 8?
It used to be the standard guideline would be about 4 kilowatts. because that was the DNO cutoff. So we can install, it's actually 3.68, I think. You can install that without having permission from them. So that used to be the recommended. But also that seems to be the average size that will fit on it, on a roof.
How many panels?
But now with energy prices going up and battery storage, we're going bigger because the customers can see that.
How many panels is 4 kilowatts?
It's around 12 panels.
I don't think I'll get 12 panels on this side.
It's just, is this a quote or a podcast?
Yeah.
Is that a quote?
No, it'd be the last thing I do, though, I would have thought. Like, I'm doing the whole house, so it's long.
I'm having batteries first. That's my plan, to put the batteries in first and charge one with cheap electricity now, which I think will still be there because obviously nuclear needs to do stuff at night.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite smart.
Well, I've heard, a geek am. I've had a bit of digging to it, but I reckon I can get an inverter. I can buy a couple of batteries, then a couple more, then a couple more, then put the solar on. And like I was even looking at I'm just messing around with it because I can. Like you're in deep because you want to go and do your mates. I'm like, I can tinker with it. I started moving my fuse board around and stuff to do it in, but nuclear has to constantly make power. So at night, electricity, I think, will always remain a bit cheaper. They'll always do your deal at night, won't they?
Yeah.
Is something to bear in mind if you're trying to save a bit of money. But what about if you're smart looking at getting into it? Is it worth it? Is it a wash with crap? Like everything that comes. I know you've been doing it a long time, but like, I bet you're seeing the dickheads coming along, aren't you? You must be.
Oh, mate, we see them all the time. And actually, we still see a lot of the solar cowboys out there.
The first, because there was the first solar cowboys, weren't they, from about, was it 6-7 years ago?
No, it's about 10 years ago.
10 years ago now. There was
we've seen the waves of them, but even still, there's installs that are going on that are absolutely shocking. We did one earlier this year where we were asked to just check it over, and we ended up stripping the whole system off and rebuilding it because it wasn't fixed the roof properly. It was just an absolute fucking mess. Even the inverter, it was set to the Netherlands, which has a completely different country setting to us.
It was smoking marijuana and eating pancake, was it?
Yeah. But it was awful. And we've seen a couple of systems by that company, big national company as well.
They're the worst. They are the worst.
How many solar panels get blown off a roof in a storm?
Oh.
Do you know what? I've only been called to probably 2.
Were they ones you fitted?
No.
You would say that, though, wouldn't you, Stu?
No, this was for a big company down in Brighton. They look after a load of stuff, and they had 2 blow off beginning of this year.
Good point, though, Sam, because like someone someday is going to get killed by one, aren't they? It's got to happen, isn't it?
You know what it'd be like? In Superman when they get into your Phantom Zone, it's just spinning around in the air.
Oh, Jesus. It's all... Yeah, the liability on that, when that first happens, what will happen is that'll happen to one company, and then everyone else will get the insurance got, won't they, for years?
See,
it's like anything, though, mate. If you follow the design procedure, that's all written into there. There's special BRE calculations for wind uplift.
Oh, right. It's all factored in, I suppose. But the problem is we don't get people on this podcast who do things shit because no one will come on here, will they, just do the job properly. We know they're out there. You'll come and go, yeah, wank, mate, put 1 screw in everything, laughing. How many had blown off? Well, only 6 or 7, but I'm getting there, you know what I mean? It's very easy to say, it's all, and you're right, it's great that it's all factored in that, but we know in our art of arts, don't we, that I would say it's a higher percentage of shit installers in your game than it is even in the Sparky game.
No way. How many shit electricians do you know?
Well, the trouble is, though, Sam, you get guys
in money.
Yeah, but you get guys who are sticking up the solar, who then try and do the electrical side of life as well. And it's like the old remember the old Part P plumbing course? That the plumbers could do to sign off installs. A lot of those guys they moved to solar. They'd sign off their solar jobs, and it was absolute complete bag of spanners, and it was just But
what about this? You've got to have some sort of certification to be able to get. You've got to be able to sign off your install so they can get the feed-in tariff. Is that right?
Yeah. So it's not the feed-in tariff, the SEG. But so you've got to be MCS. You've got to produce an MCS certificate at the end of it.
That's got like a 5% pass rate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Mark was telling me the other day, he's like, I was like looking into it, doing this job, and I was like, oh mate, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm just not doing it.
Is that part P for solar? Is it type thing, like an
Sort of,
accreditation
it's a
thing?
completely separate, independent body that has its own set of standards, and then you register the installs with them, and then they're giving you they give the customer a specific certificate that allows them to claim the SEG, or as it used to be, the feed-in tariff.
This paper scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
There's one reason why I won't do it.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot to do, and the trouble is, a lot of it's bollocks. You know, when I first did it, I was a sole trader. Well, no, I was a sole trader. One of the points I failed my first inspection on is because I didn't have records of company meetings.
Oh right, yeah, because it's all geared up for the big boys who come along and rinse all the subsidies,
That's just,
basically.
do you know what? I'd like to get out of my house. I'd be like, get out. You're being a prick. I'll tell you
I
what.
think it's. Oh, sorry, go on.
How do you work in Bognor?
I've got a job down there in a couple of weeks, actually, mate.
No one works in
Pass him
Bognor.
your number. I ain't
All
getting
right.
I'll pass him your number. I ain't getting involved.
I think that's a wise decision.
Do you go as far as Kent Coast?
If the job's
my
right.
dad's one. Because I ain't doing that either.
Depends which part of the Kent coast, mate.
Herne Bay.
Oh, that's up near Chatham, isn't it?
No.
Herne Bay.
Me and Margate. 7 miles that way.
Okay, we'll see.
This is a quote. It is a quote. I've been talked into sitting on a quote.
No, do you know what? I didn't realise how far down south Stuart is. So that's brilliant. That means I can offload all these jobs that I get to Stuart.
You can basically become one of them companies that subs it all out. You can do the knocking on the doors. Hey, Doc, do you want solar? She's like, I've only got £5 in savings. You're like, is it here, Doc? I love the lot. Send Stu around who fits one panel.
My dad's mate across the road from him, he lives on this really weird little. Everyone knows about that place in Essex. What's it called? It's a poorish place.
The island one.
No, what's it called now? Oh, I went there with Jaywick. Do you know about Jaywick?
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Why?
So what they have is like these sort of prefabbed houses everywhere in Jaywick. Now Stud Hill in Herne Bay was the original Jaywick, and they moved all the people out of Stud Hill to Jaywick, and they just basically shifted them up the road. Then those plots become available to like private landowners. So they went in and they're actually referred to as plot landers. So my dad's house it's like a private estate, but it's mental. Mental. Like there's no building regs. You know what they do?
Is this some
They do
sort
a
of
house
shit I
up.
don't understand?
If they do a house up, they build it inside the existing house. So if they want to build a new house, they build it inside the existing house, or they build around the old house and then they take it down and then they don't have to get planning permission. Stuff like that all the time.
What?
Yeah, it's mental. But my mum and dad done really well with this property, and his mate across the road has gone and got solar, and now my dad's obsessed. He's a bit not. I won't say he's a bit dumb because that's rude.
Is
but
it like keeping up appearances?
No, what it is, he's had 4 strokes, so he's not like that. But he gets like locked in on things, and he's like, I need that, I need that, I need that. And it's like every time you talk to him, all he wants to do is talk about this solar. So if I can offload it, I will. What now?
It sounds that exciting down there, to be honest, in Jaywick, with these houses being built in other houses. So I might come and do it for you. I want to see it. Is it like the Russian dolls, where there's a house in a house in a house, and in the end there's a rabbit hutch?
Here's the thing. These weird little houses, they built one, and like honestly, it's a bungalow, £500,000.
What's this called? Jaywick?
No, that's Jaywick. This is Stud Hill in Herne Bay.
Stud Hill. I'm writing this down, so I'm going to Google this.
But
I like a bit of random stuff like this going on.
If you Google map it, you'll see it. It's like just a higgledy-piggledy little weird little place, and people but it's gone up in value because it's on the cliff, so it's far enough away from the sea.
What's the cliff like? Is it hard cliff or is it soft cliff? Is it one of them places?
They've got like a concrete walkway all the way from. It's called the Viking Coastal Trail. Yeah, it goes from Herne Bay right the way down to Broadstairs, and it's like a boardwalk but made out of concrete, and it's about there's no coastal erosion going on down there
Yet. I'm gonna get on this.
Well, this is a boring conversation. We're talking about
Well,
coastal erosion and longshore drift.
You know, he could get some of them wind thingies, couldn't he? That's the wave generators and all that. Go proper renewable crazy.
No.
I think
go on.
I think we've been quite eyebrow tonight and useful. You know what I mean? A lot of people will be wanting to get into this. Hopefully they'll listen to this. It'll put them all off. And it'll work. And still pay us then for putting everyone else off.
I've been clinging to dear life doing this, and now I've got to edit it, do a thumbnail, fanny about, won't be going to bed till 11 o'clock.
I might suggest something because that's an audio only because you have proper troopered through tonight. Some points, I thought he was going to be sick at one point. Fair play to you for hanging on. Yeah, I thought he was going to vibe. You might want to put like, I don't know, parental guidance sticker over your face or something.
You know what? I drank half a pint of orange juice, which was the dumbest thing to do. Because all it's done is upset my stomach and give me acid. So I've just been sitting there just like trying to swallow acid. Yeah. The life of a fat man, eh?
Yeah.
Right.
I was hoping he'd come give me a proper hard time, but he's just sat there a bit more subdued because he's not very well. So get well soon, Sam.
Thanks. Stuart.
Yes, sir.
Contact. Pass you some work. Bosh. Monday Club. We're out.